Hey guys, it's the Fisher Brad, and today I'm going to show you guys how to catch lake trout, salmon, and steelhead in the St. Clair River. Now in this video, obviously, I'll be fishing the wall in the St. Clair River. Now, I'm wearing my leather jacket just because I forgot all my other coats. You know, I was driving here and I was like, crap, I forgot my jacket. It's raining, it's going to be cold. So I grabbed my leather jacket, so it might be a little jingle belly today. Anyways, I'm going to start you guys off with showing you what you need to fish here and what typically works. Alright, starting off, you need 3 rod holders. We got these homemade. We also need 3 heavy actions with some decent reel. I use about 40-pound tests. You want to run a bead on each pole so you can run a slider for a different lure. And you want to run a 3-way so you can throw a 2-pound weight on your bottom leader and then run a lure off there as well. The next thing you want to get is a net. You want to get a big size net, you know, something that can reach all the way to the bottom down there past the wall. There's my 2-pound weights right there, and you got your bells, and you can get all your lures. So I typically run spoons, and I run husky jerks. Alright guys, I'm about to set up my first holder right now. Now what you want to do for salmon, steelhead, and lake trout is you want to skip 3 every time. So technically, you put 1 in every 4th bar. Now you can make these as tight as you want to, because in order to get them off, all you have to do is slide this bar and it'll flop right on down. Kind of put it up like this, make sure it's on there good, and just tighten it down. Once you get it tightened down, you want to check, make sure you can't pull it up, and you're good to go. So as you guys can tell, I typically use a pool noodle to put all of my lures on. You know, you can easily tie up, so when you get here, you can just throw them on the leader, and you're good to go. Now to set up your line, guys. Taking our 2-pound weight right here, throwing it on the bottom right here. Snap that right on there. Easy as that. Now what you want to do with your 3-way swivel right here, I'll give a closer look for you guys. The 3-way swivel, you're going to put your shortest leader lure on there, and then above your bead, you're going to put your long leader on. So I got my short leader right here. I'm going to put it on the 3-way right now. Then I'm going to cast it on out there. Once I get it casted on there, I'm going to put a weight on my longer leader line with my lure on it and send it down the line. Now when you go to cast this out, you can either stand directly at yours and throw it that way, or what I like to do is I go 2 bars down and throw it straight on out. So by the time the weight hits the bottom, goes to a stop, it'll be right by your rod holder. Go. We put this right up against here. Take a little weight like this with a little eye loop. Throw it on right here. Connect it. And then we're just going to throw this down the line. Now when you drop these lures down, you want to make sure the color side is up and the hook, the point hook, is on the bottom. Just like that, let it hit the bottom. We then take our little belly belt to let us know when we do get a bite. I typically put it on the top tip. Now my rods are really heavy duty, you know, they don't make a lot of, it takes a lot to make them bounce. So once that's done, we're going to go ahead and pop this right up in there. Crank it maybe once or twice. Make sure the light's good, make sure it bounces once, and you're good to go, and you just wait for a bite. Now I'm going to set up my other 2 rods. Guys, we're setting up the same way. Shorter leader on bottom, longer leader on top, but this time we threw this one closer to the wall. We're going to throw the other one far away. Now a great tip I have for you guys is to wet your thumb like this. all you gotta do, make sure that your thumb does not get the line burn, because that will really hurt eventually casting out multiple times. Good thing today is it is raining, so it's not gonna be that bad if I forget. There's a bunch of puddles over there if you don't want to lick your hands, or if you want to take a little water bottle, just dump it on your thumb, that'll be great. It's really important to do that, guys, because it will really hurt eventually. Okay, I'm gonna cast it out now. That's how you do it, guys. Now, the reason why we throw some close and some far away is because you always want to get a big variation of where the fish can be running through. Plus, also, there's holes down there. You might not see them, so that's also a good thing to have on your reel is a line counter. So you can tell how far deep it is, actually, if it's in a 30-foot hole or if it's just like 10 foot. You really don't really know unless you have that line counter, but I don't really have it, so it doesn't really bother me at all, but it's a good thing to know. Now that I got all 3 poles set out there, I got lures in all of them, I'm going to switch up the lures in the far pole, so now it's perfect time to tie up any kind of lure I want to tie up, get it rigged up and ready to go for next time. But as soon as I get them tied up, I'm going to switch them on out. So I said before is I run 40-pound main line on my rods, but I'm actually using a 20-pound leader line for my lures. Now you want to use 40-pound for your 2-pound sinker because you're going to whip that on out there. So don't run the 20-pound for your 2-pound sinker, run 40-pound. Trust me, you can easily get it unlatched from any rock or anything with 40-pound line. But if you got 20-pound line, it'll probably snap off if it gets stuck on a rock. Now I'm going to show you guys how to tie up for the short lure and the long lure. Now the reason why you want a short lure is so the 2-pound sinker doesn't get tangled up with your lure on the bottom of your line. Typically for my long lure, I do arm length to my neck. So about like right there, take my line, I'm just going to cut it like this. And I got my long leader right here. Now to tie the connector piece. Do I got any small ones? I think I have 1 left. Nope, I got 2 left. Hold on. Just a second here. Just me bending over in front of the camera. Man, where'd it go? Well, here's one. Alright, I got me a connector finally, guys. Got my swivel. Time to tie on. Same thing. 4 basic knots. Make sure you buy the good kind of these too, because sometimes if you buy the cheap brand, you know, they're only $1 for like 8 of them. But buy the heavier duty ones. They'll last a lot better. Not last. They'll work a lot better. They'll still last about the same time probably, but you won't lose a fish on them. You'll typically lose them in your tackle box, though, like I just did. There you go. Now, when you go to cut these excess off, you want to make sure you leave a little bit left. You don't want to leave it, because salmon are going to pull really hard. They'll pull your line right on out of that knot. So just leave some excess, like I just said. Right here. It's good enough. They're not even going to see this little nubby piece anyway. They're just going to be focusing on the lure. If I can get it to get cut. Man, I suck at this. Tip number 1, get not a dull knife. Guess what, guys? I actually got it off. Woo! We're good. Golden long lure. Now short lure time. All right, I just opened up my second brand new lure. Woo! Anyways, also, you guys don't want to step on these because these will break. They're flimsy. You know, they're made for out here, not for typical river streams. For river streams, you're running heavier spoons. These are super light and very flexible, so you don't want to step on them because you will break them. Typically, what I do to cut my line is I still do the arm length and I just cut a little bit off after. So, right about here, taking our line. That's the sharp edge. Woo! Easy. And so, typically, it's a little shorter, you know. But after we tie the knots, it'll be even shorter. So same thing as before, 4 knots. Just getting them on there. Nothing fancy to this, guys. You You don't really need a lot of fanciness. Just make sure you leave that excess, because otherwise they will rip your lure off. I can't emphasize that enough. It really sucks getting a giant salmon on there, or a lake trout, or a steelhead. It's just bouncing away, bouncing away, bouncing away, and then you get there and your lure's gone. It's like, oh, dang it. It's like, and don't be lazy too. If your line gets frayed, guys, definitely cut it. You know, retie it. Both my lures retied up on, so I'm gonna pull up that last rod and switch out the lures. Now, typically, when you're going to pull in your lines, even when you got a fish, you don't want to hurry up and hook set it. You know, when the salmon bite this thing, it's going to hook set itself. But all you do to take off your rod, take it off just like that, calmly, set it up against here, take your bell off. A lot of people get mad. There's no one fishing around here right now, around me. But take your bell off, you know, people get annoyed, and then just reel in your rod. Then once you got your 2-pound sinker right below, just throw it on over. And you're good. Now if you have a salmon, steelhead, or lake trout, don't try to throw it over the wall. Get your net. It might be a little hard. You got to set it on down there and just lift it up hand by hand. If you have a fish on, you'll put your rod right against here while you have the net when you have it really close to the tip of the water. Now, as you guys can tell, I got all 3 poles rigged up. Number 1, number way out there 2, and then number 3 way out there. All 3 are set up, 4 spaces in between. Now that everything's rigged up, we just play the waiting game. About every 30 minutes or so, maybe 45 minutes or so, I'm gonna check my line to make sure there's not a lot of weeds. You know, it's kind of a murky day, which is really good for out here. If it's crystal clear, normally not a lot of fish bite, but when it's a little bit murky, a lot of stuff tends to happen. The wind is a really big thing. You know, it pushes the weeds a certain way, it makes everything different, so you want a north wind when fishing the St.Clair River, where I'm fishing typically today. Typically, fishing the St.Clair River, you know, it's a hit or a miss. You know, I'm hoping to get some today, but you never know. But, you know, you just got to keep getting out there and going. You know, if you don't get something the first time, you always got to try again, just like any other spot. You know, you can go to your favorite spot sometimes and sometimes get skunked. So you never know that's going to happen wherever you go new. The time I normally typically switch to jerk baits is when it gets dark. You know, maybe 30 minutes before darkness, I normally switch up. Now, sometimes even before I switch up, I can catch walleye on spoons and everything like that as well. So typically a walleye will just go ding, 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 where salmon or steelhead or lake trout will go da 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 da. So it's really easy to differentiate both of them. Another great thing to have while fishing is a little stool. You can set it on down. It's my hunting stool. It's like $6. Now you don't have to sit on the cold ground, and it's a lot more comfier on your butt. Can you get a net? There we go. Can you get a net? I think it's a steelhead or a coho.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. That was my fault. I didn't run. Should ring him. I didn't know you had a fish till I got around almost to the corner.
Oh, it's okay. Might be gone. No, it's still on. It's a small one. Might be a walleye. Nope, it's a little bigger. Oh yeah, it's decent. Alright guys, I just self-identified this fish with an app I have, which is called Fish Brain. Now this is actually an Atlantic salmon, so it's my first one ever. It's really cool. Check out the jaw on this thing. As you guys can tell, fishing for species like this is super fun. It's a total blast. You know, my favorite place to catch steelhead and salmon is in the rivers. You know, I love wade fishing for them. I have tons of other footage on my channel. I got about 50 videos total, so if you really like this video, I definitely recommend checking out some of my other videos. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and learned a lot from it, and hope it gets you on the fish. Have a great day, guys.